So I'm just going to flat out ask you what your vision of large group ensemble improvisation is all about.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, it's a group of humans, normally,
Right.
to make sounds together as a community. My workshops are improvisations in themselves, based on the interests and needs of the individual participants. So I come with the agenda of helping others along their path, as am continuously helped by others along my path. So the experience and results, in a sense, are different from workshop to workshop and individual to individual. There's a lot of variation, and many different possible ways and infinite sub-genres of those to approach it with.
Yeah, I was wondering about if you find that the specific, maybe if there's any genres that may help to enhance the improvisational experience, or does it matter at all? I mean, in terms of background, or I don't know, what's your thoughts on putting that together?
Right. Well, again, I've approached in different ways. Like I have a group I call it Everywhere Quintet, which is basically a workshop that I do with one or more people. So it'd be a quintet -3 or quintet +5 or so on. And the concept of that is that the music must go everywhere. So that includes all kinds of different genres, in a sense. They can happen for split seconds or over periods of time. All based, though, on the spontaneous decisions of the individual musicians. I also approach workshops through non-idiomatic concepts as well. As many of my workshops are open to people who never played an instrument before in their lives, or very, very little. And so that's a great way for people to enter into the cumulative music making experience. If there's no particular stylistic rules, you don't need to know how to play an instrument, much less scales and chords and charts and so on, then this gives people an opportunity to have a sonic experience with a group of fellow human beings.
Wow. Do you tend to break up individuals in smaller groups to improvise together, or is it always large ensemble?
I usually focus quite a bit on different groupings. Yeah, smaller groupings.
Right.
Some of the large, yeah, for sure, of everybody playing simultaneously together, and there's a lot of different ways to explore that. I think, though, however, it's even more important to really break it down into smaller groupings. Not only so that individuals have the experience of working in small groupings where they can really hear themselves and add an aspect to the overall experience that's very significant, as opposed to in a large ensemble. There's that, but also the finding different combinations of timbres within a large ensemble is important to me. So yeah, so let's say if we have a workshop of 20 different participants, and for sure there would be a lot of trio and quartet and quintet types of stuff. So.
Okay. Do you take any specific approach in terms of instructional process or graphic process, or is it more how do you instruct these large ensembles?
Right.
To improvise, and especially when you have maybe some players who have no idea what improvisation is, and when you have other players that are extremely experienced.
Right. Well, it's first of all, it's always great to have both. It's great to have in this type of a workshop, clinic kind of a situation to have experienced improvisers as well as people who have never had any experience playing an instrument, as well as those who are deeply enriched by a particular tradition and have not had much experience with improvisation. It's good to have all of that because everybody brings different stuff to it that can benefit everyone. I'm always learning from my workshops. I'm always learning from people who, let's say, are lesser experienced than I am. I'm constantly learning in that way. So, you asked my approach.
Well, I was just curious what folks might want generally experience or what your direction you're hoping on taking your workshop at the summit this year.
Okay, well, the summit particularly.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Well, that's a little bit of a shorter workshop than I normally give, right? And we're preparing actually for a performance the following night. So it's going to be a very condensed thing. Normally in my workshops, I really come at it from a facilitator standpoint as opposed to a leader or even a teacher standpoint. So in that case, for me, that's setting up a situation in which people can have some direction to really be able to explore. So to find new ways for themselves to explore that would then lead them throughout their lives to continue to find new ways. And so it's more hands-off in a lot of ways. This is going to be more hands-on for sure because it's a very condensed amount of time, and we're preparing for a concert, right?
Right.
Okay. So and I want all the participants to feel good about the performance leading up to it and afterwards and for the rest of their lives, and so I think in this kind of situation there'll be I will be a little more involved in that way of like coming in with specific types of structures, specific groupings and different ways for individuals and instruments to relate to each other within this setting.
And will you be participating musically as well with the ensemble in this particular
I'm
situation?
going to for this, yeah, for
Great.
sure.
Okay.
But I don't always, and that's part of my hands-off approach. Is I don't want to influence people too much with my own playing, because to me it's very, very important that people have self-discovery. I think it is certainly important to learn from those who have come before us, which is infinite.
Of course, yes.
And but I ultimately think it's much more important to have the personal discovery, and so that's what I try to facilitate in my workshops.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. No. Well, that's very helpful, and I really wanted to try to just talk about the elements of how you conduct improvisational workshops, and how long have you been doing this now?
Well, I've been teaching music since I was 13 years old.
Right.
And I've been giving so that's both private and group lessons, let's say, for years. I don't know when I started, really. When I started giving workshops in improvisation and collaboration. I'm not sure.
But you've been on the road now perpetually for over 7 years.
Yeah.
And I know that you've been doing workshops. And have you? Oh yeah, this is a good question. Have you found that there's any major differences depending on the part of the world you're in, country or the region? When you do these, when you do these improvisational workshops, have you found there's any kind of differences between the various groups of people you work with throughout the world?
Let's say from country to country,
sure,
for instance,
country to
or
country,
region to region.
Yeah.
Well, yes and no, I suppose, but mostly no. Maybe more in Italy, let's say, than anywhere else, I guess, in my experiences. Let's see. I mean, I've given workshops in quite a few times in different parts of Italy and Slovenia and Greece and Sweden and Portugal and France and Ireland and Germany and Netherlands and Mexico and Canada and U.S.
Right. So
yeah. No, I don't. I don't think.
So it sounds like there's maybe a commonality of a universal connection through this art form.
Well, I think that there is. Yes, I do. And I think that improvisation and the concept of what we call free improvisation. I mean, all these words can be broken down to become meaningless in a way, but
Yeah.
This really does get closer to a universal type of communication than anything, except maybe math.
Right.
But math is something you have to really be dedicated to in order to really understand that expression. Whereas this you don't, you know. Doesn't mean that you're going to have the equal experience as somebody who has dedicated their life to it.
Well, of course.
But
it's a different experience.
So yeah, you know, there's many different levels and layers and depths of experience with this. But yeah, I think that it really it does get to a root and our commonality.
That's wonderful.
It is wonderful.
Yeah.
It's a great time to be a musician.
Right, exactly. Well, I'm really happy that I had a chance to talk with you and to let folks know in advance about how fun this workshop is going to be, and
yeah, I hope
people
so.
should attend.
Should be fun.
If not, come to the concert. So July 27th of the workshop and July 28th for the concert, and this will be a first time for the Outsound Summit too, of doing this type of format. So
that's awesome.
It'll be first times for everybody.
All right.
All right.
Great, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.